All right, Liz, what do you say we go ahead and get started?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, welcome everybody. Going to go ahead and get us kicked off here for our friends watching on Facebook as well. Let me go ahead and share the slides. All right. Okay, so welcome everybody to the July version of the YK Communications Connect and Protect Lunch and Learn web series. Today, we are going to be talking about Beat the Heat with Streaming Services 101. For those of you that have attended with us before, you know who we are. My name is Russell Kotcher. I'm president here at YK Communications, and I'm joined by the one, the only, the streaming expert, Elizabeth Gurnt, our sales specialist.
Hi, everyone.
And, we'll just go ahead and kind of address the title right now, Liz. It is hot outside.
It is real hot outside.
It
Like a
is
cast iron skillet in a Texas driveway hot.
that's right. It is hot outside. It is mid-July in South Texas. We were just talking about like you cannot walk out of your back door and get in your car without feeling like your face is just going to melt off this time of year. And
Amen.
that's right. And the good news is the perfect way to stay cool is stay indoors, beat the heat, and do your streaming. Binge watch all of your shows that way. Grab a cold drink, crank up the air, and just binge all that you can. But thanks everyone for joining us today. We're going to talk about some of the streaming services, kind of the history of streaming, and I'll kind of go over the agenda there. History of streaming. We'll talk about just streaming platforms, a quick overview. We're going to talk about how you choose the right service for your household. There's a lot of options out there. And then we're going to talk about kind of our area of specialty is making sure that your internet and your home network is set up to handle all of the streaming demands, especially during these hot months of the year, of the summer. We've got a couple of surprising fun facts around streaming, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. If you guys have questions as we're going along, feel free to go ahead and drop those into the chat, and Liz and I will get to those when we've got a chance, and we've got a special spot carved out at the end where we'll take all the Q&A questions. And then we'll talk about our next event coming up in August, which will be a really great one. We've got a promotional offer, and we will close out with a gift card drawing. So what do you say we jump on in, Liz?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay.
So just to roll back the clock a little bit, streaming has come a long way. So back in the day, in the early 2000s, if you were trying to watch something online, you'd have about 20 seconds of video and about 5 minutes of buffering waiting on that video then to catch up and load again. So
Absolutely.
definitely different than now.
And that was on a good day. You're talking about the day when DVDs ruled and it was all about cable TV in the living room. And, early platforms like YouTube were just starting out, and then came along Netflix. And I remember Netflix when they used to send out the DVDs in the bright red, just like we've got up there on the slides, those envelopes or those little tear off pouches that would come in the mail. But it wasn't until about 2007 that Netflix switched over and started offering streaming services.
Exactly. So Netflix, Hulu, later on we got Disney Plus, Max, Peacock, and of course Amazon Prime. Everybody I feel like uses Amazon Prime Video if you have a Prime subscription. The options just kind of exploded. So now we went from waiting on the mail to now you have it on demand within seconds. So that's what kind of really kicked off the streaming revolution, was those providers launching those services.
Absolutely. And that's a good thing, Liz, because nobody wants to go out and check their mail in 105 degrees to look for the next Netflix DVD in the middle of the afternoon.
Right? Or have to drive to the post office. Who wants to do that?
The post office, or we could even go back a little further and talk about Blockbuster, but that's just getting crazy.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, so there's so many choices. Netflix has a lot of original series and variety. There's a huge content spectrum on Netflix. You have stuff for the kids and stuff for everyone. Disney Plus, it has all those good family blockbusters. You got Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and all of your favorite Disney movies in one place, which is great. When they launched that, I think that's probably the best thing that Disney has done, in my opinion. Hulu, you can watch all your favorite shows that you missed live the next day. It's on demand. That's also one of my personal favorites. Um, Amazon Prime, it's bundled with Prime so that if you have a Prime subscription, you automatically get that Prime Video aspect of it. And there's a lot of great shows. You can even rent certain new movies. Max, Peacock, Apple TV Plus, those are all a lot newer. They're going to have sports. Sometimes sports are only showing now on some of these platforms. And you're also going to have Apple TV Plus, which is a lot of original dramas, documentaries, all of that good stuff. So there's a big, huge option out there for you. Anything you want, you can get it on streaming.
That's right. So what are your personal favorites, Liz?
So I would say for me, Netflix, Max, and probably Hulu and Disney Plus. Those are the four that I stick to. I think probably my absolute most favorite is probably gonna be Disney Plus, just because they now are kind of together with Hulu, so you get a bundle and you get to watch all your shows in one place. So
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
I'd say probably Netflix is the one that I use more than any other. The kids use Disney Plus quite a bit, and I'll get on certain series on Apple TV, but I'd say probably the one that I end up using the most is Netflix.
Yes, that's a good one. They always have good original series, and you can watch all the episodes, binge watch it. That's the best thing ever. You don't have to wait a week for a new episode.
Amen. And then, we get into some of the niche options that I don't know, when doing the research for putting this together, found that Crunchyroll, which is for those that are into anime, and BritBox is for British TV. I've never heard of either one of those. I've never used either one of those, but obviously, streaming has gotten to the point that if you have a particular area of interest in what you like to watch, there is probably a streaming service for it. I'm sure there's many more that we don't have listed or even know about up there.
Right. You can pretty much, streaming includes pretty much any interest, whether you want to, binge watch some baking shows on Food Network, whatever it may be, it's going to be on there for you. Or if you want to watch the Aggies or the Longhorns, there's always something there for you with a streaming service, whatever it may be that you like.
Absolutely. So what do you say we launch our first poll question, and let's ask our attendees what platform is their personal favorite? So we'll give everybody a minute to answer in here. Like I said, Liz and I talked about it. Sounds like Netflix is kind of at the top of our list, but let's see what our attendees are preferring these days. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share that, Liz. And it looks like we've got about 2/3 of the group is Netflix fans, and then we've got an other. So if you've got if the other one is a really niche one that we don't know about yet, and we need to know about, be sure to drop that in the chat and let us know. All right, let's carry on here with choosing the right platform. So yeah, you kind of think about, Liz, as us being former DirecTV dealers, it kind of went from where you went for one platform like DirecTV or a cable provider, Dish, that sort of thing, and you got everything for that, to where you started having all these streaming services. And in the beginning, there was just a couple to choose from, but now there are so many, and it seems like you can only watch certain shows on certain platforms, and trying to figure out what you're trying to watch is where. So the $1,000,000 question is, how do you pick the right one?
Right. So you really have to think about who's watching TV in your home. Is it mostly kids, adults? You have a family at home. Like for me, I have probably four different streaming services because there's different things that I like to watch, and it works for me. If there's a certain favorite show, do a little bit of research and see which platform that show comes on, so that you can make sure that you enroll in a subscription with that particular platform so you don't miss your favorite shows. Do you like sports? Do you like news? Entertainment, as far as what is it that you want to watch? Also, there's a lot of bundles out there. So you can do like the bundle, like I have, for instance, with Disney Plus, Hulu, and I believe it's ESPN. It comes all in a bundle together, and you're able to watch all those across the platforms. So that's really good. You can do a free trial. So if you want to try something out, a lot of times they'll say, okay, here's a week for free to try it. Put in your information, get signed up, and you can always cancel with no charge if you don't like it before that free trial is up. That's what I always recommend. Try something out. I do that personally sometimes with different things that I see pop up and want to check it out and see what it's all about. So you can also
Yeah, I've done
rotate.
that.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say I've done that before too, where it's like if there's one specific series on a platform and I know that maybe I'm taking vacation or I'm doing a lot of travel and I'll have time to watch, I'll do that free trial and see if I could binge watch that whole series. Usually you get like a free first week or something like
Right.
that. See if you can cram it all in that time frame.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds that I've tried. I recently signed up. It's called Philo TV. It's very inexpensive and it has a lot of the popular networks that are out there. So I really enjoy that one. A lot, it worked out for me. It had what I needed. So
Yeah. But yeah, like you were talking about too, Liz, with the free trials, it's easy. You can rotate in and out. You can try one for a week, cancel it, sign up for another one for the month, try it again. It's kind of like test driving a new car, except the AC in your living room is a lot more comfortable than a car lot in July.
exactly.
So we'll get a little bit technical here. If you're streaming to beat the heat or, any time of the year, you want to make sure that your internet connection can handle all of the streaming that's going on in your house. So Liz, why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of the points that you need to pay attention to when you're preparing your home network for streaming?
Sure. So you always want to make sure that you have updated equipment. You want to make sure that your Wi-Fi router is up to date. And the great thing is if you have YK service, we kind of take care of that for you. We are always putting out the newest equipment and up-to-date equipment, so you never have to worry about is my equipment going to work for this? It will.
Yeah.
Make sure your router is in the middle of your home if possible. If you are streaming through a wireless connection and not hardwired back to your equipment, so that you can have a good experience. The further you're away from that router, the speed could diminish due to distance. So you want to make sure that that is, not a problem for you. Also, just make sure that you don't have too many devices to connected. If you notice buffering while you're trying to stream, you may need a little bit more speed, or you may need to disconnect some of those devices if they're not being used at the time. Another big thing with us is a mesh network. So we offer a mesh system here with our routers where you get seamless Wi-Fi coverage throughout your home. I currently have those at my house. It makes sure that I can stay connected in all the bedrooms and the living room for all of my televisions without having any trouble. And like I mentioned earlier, if you are noticing some buffering, we may need to get your speed upgraded to be able to handle that content a little better. A lot of the streaming networks now use a lot of data, so it's always good to have a good speed.
Yep, that's right. And I know, Liz, whenever we're talking about speeds and how much bandwidth people need, there's a lot of, we get questions a lot around, how much bandwidth do I really need? And so I put together these kind of quick stats here for just at a high level, what you need to prepare for when you're considering how much bandwidth you need for your home. So standard definition, you're looking at probably 3 to 4 megabytes per second per stream. And so again, for all of these things, when we say per stream, if you've got multiple people that are streaming those, whether it's on a TV, a tablet, a phone, anything like that, you're talking about per person or per device that's streaming at the same time. When you start getting up into HD level quality, you're looking at 5 to 8 meg per stream. And then when you're starting to get up into the 4K, which everybody wants that crystal clear picture and wants that great experience, you're getting up closer to 25 meg per stream. So all those things have to be taken into consideration and considering how many people are doing that at the same time in your home. You also want to add an extra, 5 to 10 meg per user if you've got folks gaming or remote working. If you're doing some of the heavier lifts like, video conferencing or some high demand gaming, you probably are going to need a little bit more than that. But one of the things that we recommend for kind of a family to start out is at least with 100 meg connection and kind of take it from there. And, you know, Liz, I don't know if you want to speak to, but we work really close with all of our customers here at YK to make sure that if someone is bumping up over their bandwidth, that we'll reach out and say, hey, you know, you may be having a bad experience. This is why. Let's talk about moving you up to get you more bandwidth to make sure that nobody's running into buffering or, you know, lagging issues while gaming, and making sure that everybody's having a great experience while online.
Exactly. We want you to keep being able to binge your favorite shows and series while your kids are watching other, you know, their movies and cartoons on other screens, and no one has to suffer through it, because the worst thing you can see on that screen is the little spinning loading wheel. Nobody wants to see that. You know, it's one of those things where it's more of an inconvenience than anything, and it gets pretty serious sometimes.
That's right. And I know, you know, we didn't have streaming when you and I were kids, and we would get
Right.
told, you know, well, why don't you just go play outside? It's summer. But like we said, we're trying to come up with solutions that are outside of that Texas heat.
Yeah, I feel like the summers were not this hot back whenever we were kids.
They weren't, or, you know, we were a lot younger and could tolerate
I
it a whole lot
guess.
more. So, but the good thing is, talking about speeds, you know, here at YK, we've got plans up to 1 gig, so we can handle just about anything that your household can throw at us. So if you need help, you know, checking your speeds, seeing what your usage has been, or maybe you've got a bad experience going on and we need to look at moving you up to the next package, just give us a shout and we can definitely help you out with that. So why don't we get to our second poll of the day, Liz, and let's talk about what folks are struggling with during streaming. Um, you know, what is the tech problem that's getting you right now? Is it, you know what? We've got a bad poll question. That was from our last one for spring. So never mind, we won't do the poll. All right, so fail on our part on that one. So let's go ahead and finish up, Liz. Let's talk about some fun facts around streaming.
Sure. So, you know, Netflix actually stopped shipping DVDs in 2023. I actually didn't know that. I haven't gotten a DVD from Netflix in so long. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I got one of
I
those.
actually know people that were extremely upset when that stopped in
Wow.
2023.
I don't even think I've owned a DVD player since like 2016. So,
Yeah.
oh, so most people stream on their phone, even sitting on their couch. And I've noticed this. I know this is a lot with kids. You know, kids nowadays, they're watching a lot of YouTube and different stuff on their phones. So it is something that is, you know, that is definitely taken over. And about 80% of the homes, US households nowadays have streaming. So at least one paid streaming service. And the average household does pay for 4 subscriptions, and I can totally understand that, because that's about what I have to get what
Yeah,
everything that I want. And
I would
I'm a
agree.
household of one, so I can only imagine if you had a household of 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'd say that I'm at least probably at 4, if not one or two that I'm forgetting about in there. So,
Sure.
yeah, and that last one, you know, another surprising number, the total number of minutes streamed worldwide every single year is over 1 trillion minutes.
Wow.
So I know that not everybody has the same weather that we do. I'm sure some people stream to avoid the cold, but that's a whole lot of binge while avoiding the summer sun around here.
Yes, definitely.
So that takes us to our Q&A. And while we give folks some time to drop some questions in, if they've got any for us, Liz, why don't we jump over and talk a little bit about what folks need to do if they need support while streaming, how they can reach out to us.
Sure. As always, you can always reach out to us via phone at 361-771-3334. We are available 24/7, 365 days a year. You can also go to ykc.com/help. We have a live support chat that you can click on. We also have our network status page now, so that you can check the status of our network as a whole to see if anything is going on. And, you know, our techs know their stuff. Most of them stream as well. So they understand what you're going through when you are having trouble, and they'll help you out.
Awesome. So let's look at a couple questions here. So what are the most popular shows you see people asking about right now? I mean, I guess that kind of starts getting into personal preference. What have you been watching recently, Liz?
Well, so I've been watching a lot of different things recently. The new season of Virgin River came out not too terribly long ago. So that's happening right now. Of course, one of my favorites, and not everyone may agree with me on this, but The Righteous Gemstones. It is
Okay.
hilarious. If you haven't watched it,
I'll need to
go
write that one
watch it.
down.
Also just been watching, I watch a pretty good variety of different things from dramas to whatever. So that's some of my top picks right now. A lot of
Well,
the
I
reality
think
TV,
two
like Secret
I
Life
think
of Mormon
two
Wives.
I think 2 nights ago, I finished the third season of White Lotus. And that one is just crazy plot twists all the time. But, for me, one of my favorite all times is Ted Lasso. And the other one that I could watch over and over, and I know you and I talk about it all the time, Liz, is Schitt's Creek. So
Yes,
I could just watch that one on repeat over and over again.
that I think I've probably watched that. I think I started watching during COVID, and I think I've probably watched the whole every season probably like 4 times at least by now. It's just,
Yeah.
you can always go
So,
back to it.
next question, can you explain about streaming bundles, how they work, and how they save money? You want to take that one, Liz?
Sure. So, a lot of times there's a lot of different options out there. One of the main bundles that I'm seeing right now is you do get the Hulu and Disney Plus, or Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN. They always have a bundle going on, and it's usually a great deal too. You can get it with or without ads. I choose no ads just because then you don't have to wait for those commercials and stuff. So that's one of the good things. Sometimes also you can get other bundles in there too. I know there's some with like Peacock, and I think maybe one of the primary like streaming TV providers that does live TV right now has that option. So there's a lot of different choices out there. Sometimes you can sign up for this and get Netflix for a couple months. It's all based on your preference, and then also what device you have. Certain streaming platforms are not available on all streaming devices. So I know like DirecTV has a streaming service, and it's available on certain devices, certain platforms. So another big one out there right now is Fubo. That one has a lot of sports and a lot of your live TV. A lot of the streaming platforms now, you don't even really need a DVR because everything goes on demand the next day.
Right. Yeah, and I know one of the things that like for bundles and saving money, the my kind of main streaming service, I use YouTube TV. And when I signed up for that, I bundled in some of the HBO and some of the other like that. So sometimes you can actually get a little bit of a cost savings when you're bundling it with one of those versus just going directly to HBO Max and subscribing to that directly there. So there's always ways, if you look around enough, you can find some cost savings there.
Yeah, I think Amazon Prime even does bundles for like Showtime, Max, that
Right.
type of thing on those different movie platforms.
Yeah. So, next question, what is the difference between live streaming TV and on-demand content? I'll take that one, and a funny story to go with it. Live streaming TV, anything that would be on regular linear TV, and the things that I, think about live sporting events or even news, that you'll find on your local channels, you're basically watching them over a streaming service as they're happening, as they would be broadcasted over a traditional linear cable service. And the funny story I'll tell you that, Liz, is there was one morning I actually turned on the Houston news. The kids are getting ready for school in the morning. And I guess they just hadn't been used to watching TV or watching the news in the morning. And they both turn and look at the TV and they're like, wait, this is happening like right now? And I'm like, yeah, it's not some video somebody uploaded to YouTube a year ago. This is happening. It's like it blew their mind that it was live TV on a streaming service right there. But So that's your live streaming, and then on demand is basically anything that kind of streamed live before, and you can go back and access it at any point in time, whether you want to watch it, the next day, 2 weeks later, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. On demand means that you can access that content at any time that you want to. Let's see. Next one, Liz. If my streaming device is buffering, what are the first things I should check? You want to take that one?
Sure. So, number one thing you should always check when you're using a streaming device like a Roku stick or a whatever, the Amazon Fire Stick, all of that right now, check to make sure the device is up to date, that the software is updated on the device. A lot of times, if the software is out of date, it needs an update to perform properly. Second thing is always reboot that device. Let it power down and restart. You know, before taking anything with your network or your actual internet connection, check your other devices that you have connected to the internet. With YK, we offer the Command IQ app for our routers. So you can actually go on there and run a speed test to make sure that there's nothing going on with your internet service to rule that out. So first things first, always check to make sure the device is up to date.
Yeah, good tip. And looks like the last question we've got, are there any parental controls for streaming platforms? So yes, when you set up a streaming platform, typically the way that I've done it is there are profiles for each person in the household, and you can set age ranges for those different profiles so that if you've got someone who's, 13 and under, or, you've got someone who's 14, 15 years old, they typically break it up into a few different age brackets, and they will allow only the content that either Netflix or Disney or whoever would recommend appropriate for that age group. So you can put content filters on there through the individual streaming platforms. There's also different tools like, we use Bark in our household. And if you set certain content to be blocked, if it's coming through the kid's device, their phone, their iPad, and it recognizes it as something that's outside of their age appropriate content, it'll block that as well. But I'd say probably the easiest way is to just set up those profiles when you set up those different streaming services, and they kind of follow the age for the person who's watching under that profile. And then for those that have a higher profile, like the adult level profiles, you can usually put like a 4-digit code on there so the kids don't accidentally access the wrong profile and get access to content that is above their age range. So, all right, Liz, I'm showing that is the end of our questions. We talked about support. Our next event is going to be on Thursday, August 14th, and we're talking about back to school. And I think by August 14th, everybody will actually be back in school here in the area. I know that's when El Campo starts back. I haven't checked the other schools, but I think that's the week that most people start heading back to school. But we're going to be talking about back to school safety. We'll be talking things like experience IQ, different parental controls that you can set on your devices, where you can set screen time limits, and then we'll be talking about Bark to make sure that as your kids go back to school, you typically see a spike in bullying and issues around bullying whenever the school year starts. And so just having programs like that on your kids' devices help monitor the content that they're seeing, what messages they're being sent, things like that. So we're going to talk about all those things that you'll need kind of getting ready back to school. And so join us on August 14th. You can go now to ykc.com/connect-protect, and you can sign up for that and all of the other series that we have for the rest of the year. And for closing, we've got a couple of promos. Liz, you want to talk about those?
Sure. So our promotions for this webinar are going to be 1 month free with new or upgraded internet service. So when you give us a call or go online, just mention you are on our Connect and Protect web series today, and you will get that promotion.
Awesome. And last but not least, we need to draw for a gift card. What gift card do we have today, Liz?
So today we have a gift card to the Lone Star Cafe, which has 2 locations now to serve you in outside of El Campo in Tayton, and then also in Louise. They just opened their Louise location last week. So
They did, and they catered our company staff lunch on Tuesday. And I don't know about you, Liz, but I almost went to a food coma.
yes, it was so good. It was great.
All right, so let's spin the little digital wheel over here. And our winner for this month is going to be Maribel. So congratulations, Maribel. You can reach out to
Yay.
us and we will get in contact with you to talk about how we get that gift card over to you. Anything else we need to cover today, Liz?
No, I think that's it. We want to thank you guys for hanging out with us on this sizzling summer day. We hope you learned how to keep cool, keep connected, and stream like a pro.
That's right. So remember, if you need help with any of your streaming setups or internet connection, you can always reach out to us here at YK. We're happy to help.
Yep. Stay cool out there, everybody, and happy streaming.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, y'all.